Writing. Something about this story doesn't sit right. A president steps in, quietly pays a massive court fine for a young man facing criminal charges in a foreign country, and just like that, the case seems to disappear from the headlines. No drawn-out legal battle. No extended consequences. Just an apology, a payment, and a flight back home. R600K. Paid in full. And the man at the center of it all? Not just anyone, but the son of one of Africa's most controversial political figures. Because when power, money, and justice collide like this, the real question isn't what happened, it's what didn't happen. If you want more deep dives like this, make sure you like and subscribe to stay updated because this story is bigger than it looks. At the center of this unfolding controversy is Bellarmine Chatunga Mugabe, the son of Zimbabwe's late former President Robert Mugabe, a name that still carries weight across southern Africa. For decades, Robert Mugabe was both revered and criticized, seen by some as a liberation hero and by others as a symbol of authoritarian rule. So, when his son appears in a criminal case in South Africa, the attention is immediate. Bellarmine Chatunga, now 28 years old, has often lived a life surrounded by privilege, influence, and public scrutiny. But this time, it wasn't social media or lifestyle headlines drawing attention. It was something far more serious. The incident took place in Johannesburg, South Africa, specifically in the upscale suburb of Hyde Park, an area known for wealth, security, and exclusivity. But on February 19th, that calm environment was shattered. According to court proceedings, Chatunga was involved in a shooting-related incident at a family residence. Authorities charged him with pointing an object that could be perceived as a firearm, a serious offense under South African law, along with violations of immigration regulations. But he wasn't alone. His cousin, Tobias Matondze, was also implicated. And unlike Chatunga, the charges against Matondze were far more severe. Attempted murder, unlawful possession of a firearm, ammunition charges, and defeating the course of justice. This wasn't just a misunderstanding. It was a criminal case with potentially life-altering consequences. But here's where things start to get disturbing. Instead of a prolonged legal battle, the case moved quickly. Almost too quickly. Chatunga pleaded guilty. That much is clear. The court imposed a fine of R600K, a significant amount, meant to reflect the seriousness of the offense. Writing. But then came the twist. In a public statement shared on social media platform X, Chatunga revealed that Zimbabwe's current president, Emmerson Mnangagwa, had personally paid the fine on his behalf. Not assisted. Not supported. Paid in full. And just like that, the immediate legal burden was lifted. Chatunga issued an apology, stating that he had tarnished both his father's legacy and Zimbabwe's reputation. He acknowledged the president's intervention and claimed he had been warned not to repeat such behavior. Then he announced he would be returning to Zimbabwe the very same day. And just like that, it was over. Or was it? Because what happened next raised serious questions. To understand why this matters, you have to look at the timeline more closely. February 19th. The incident occurs in Hyde Park, Johannesburg. A shooting-related situation that draws police attention. Details remain limited, but enough evidence is gathered to bring charges. Shortly after, both Chatunga and Matondze are arrested and processed through the South African legal system. In court, Chatunga pleads guilty to the charges related to pointing a firearm-like object and immigration violations. His cousin faces a much heavier legal battle. Matondze's case unfolds differently. He is convicted on multiple serious charges, including attempted murder. The court sentences him to 3 years in prison. 3 years. Meanwhile, Chatunga's case concludes with a fine. And not just any fine, one that is immediately settled, not by him, but by a sitting president of another country. This is the part few people are talking about. Why would a head of state intervene in what appears to be a personal criminal matter? What precedent does that set? And, more importantly, what message does it send? Because in most legal systems, justice is meant to be impartial. It's supposed to operate independently of political influence. Wealth and status shouldn't determine outcomes. But in this case, the optics tell a different story. A young man connected to power faces legal consequences abroad. A fine is issued, and before the dust can even settle, that fine is paid by one of the most powerful figures in his home country. No drawn-out consequences. No visible hardship. Just resolution. But here's where things get even more complicated. The relationship between the Mugabe family and President Mnangagwa is not simple. Mnangagwa himself rose to power following the dramatic fall of Robert Mugabe in 2017. A political transition that many described as a coup, even if it was not officially labeled that way. For years, tensions between the Mugabe family and the current administration have been widely discussed. So this act of financial intervention raises eyebrows. Is it a gesture of reconciliation, a strategic move, or something else entirely? Because when politics and personal matters intersect like this, motives are rarely straightforward. And then there's the issue of justice itself. Matondze, the cousin, remains in prison, serving a 3-year sentence for his role in the same incident. No presidential intervention for him. No financial bailout. Just incarceration. Why the difference? Was it purely based on the severity of charges? Or does influence play a larger role than officially acknowledged? These are the kinds of questions that don't have easy answers, but they refuse to go away. The political and social implications of this case stretch far beyond one incident. In Zimbabwe, where economic struggles and governance challenges are ongoing, stories like this can deepen public frustration. Because for ordinary citizens, the justice system doesn't move this quickly. Fines aren't paid on their behalf by powerful figures. Consequences are real, and often harsh. So when people see a politically connected individual avoid prolonged hardship through what appears to be high-level intervention, it creates a perception problem. Fair or not, it feeds into a broader narrative that power protects its own, and that justice can sometimes be negotiated. But the impact isn't limited to Zimbabwe. In South Africa, this case also raises concerns, because it happened on South African soil, under South African law. So the question becomes, how much influence should foreign political figures have over legal outcomes within the country? Even if the process followed legal procedures, the optics matter. Because public trust in institutions depends not just on fairness, but on the appearance of fairness. And this case challenges that perception.